Just give it one more minute for everybody to hop in and we'll get rolling. All right, let's dive in. Let me get my screen set up. You'll see the link for the materials there on your screen. And let me sheet in. I'm going to go ahead and make you co-host. Get everybody up here, get my screen situated so I can see all of you. All right, today we are going to talk about farming and door knocking, different yet related activities. There is a manual in the materials for you today. We're going to be going through a lot on the slide and on the slides, and you can take notes as well. And so if you don't necessarily have the materials, you're going to be okay. You can refer back to those also after the fact for a couple of pieces in there. Here we go. We've covered all of the things up to this point. Next week, let me go this way. Here we go. Next week, we are going to start talking about social media and internet lead generation, video, lead conversion, and then we're going to finish off talking about nurturing and following up with our prospects and putting a plan together for that. Next week's book goes right along with that. Follow up and close the sale. That's a good one. Everybody who's been in the office this week should have gotten a copy of this week's book, Exactly What to Say. So if you haven't got that yet, definitely talk to Amy and make sure that you get your copy if you're in the office here. The 4 habits that we're talking about every day, we're going to get to know our numbers. We're going to look at MLS numbers so that we have the story to tell, right? We're interpreting those. We see what's happening in the market. We have 3 hours of lead generation every day. We're tracking our numbers, and then we're working to develop our skills every single day. So let's dive in to some MLS numbers. We were just looking at this, Adrian and I, not long ago, to make sure that everybody has access to this. And then we're looking at the numbers in Matrix too. So just a heads up, if your numbers still look different than my numbers, one of the reasons why is probably because I have mine. I'm going to move it over here. I have mine sorted so that I am just seeing RE Colorado listings. I'm not seeing any of the syndications. I'm not getting any duplicates. So I'm only seeing listings that come in native to RE Colorado. So just a heads up if yours are looking different, but let's see what the numbers look like today. Anybody pull them already yet today?
I did.
Tell me more. What did you see?
I recall there was a huge jump in new listings on my side. If I recall, went from like 200 something yesterday to 700 today.
Okay. Yeah, because you're looking 24 hours, right?
Correct.
You're looking a day at a time. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see that too. We had 1400 and now we're 1951. Yeah.
So the delta is still about the same, ballpark 500 between your 19 and 14 and my 7 and 2.
Price decrease is still going up. 853 price decreases. Pendings, 1,954 pendings, 117 withdrawns, 1565 closed, and 119 expired. And then let's take a look at what is currently on the market. So same thing here. I'm just going to look at native RE Colorado listings. So I'm going to deselect all of the other things. And so we have more than 5,000 listings on the market. So if I actually click on this 5,000 plus matches, I'm going to see it will show me the actual number here. So found 5113. So that's a pretty good swing. So between the increase in new listings and pendings actually going down a little bit, right? We've seen an increase in inventory here, active listings on the market, because once a listing goes pending, it's no longer active, right? So that's when it comes off of that list. But we've also been looking at, sorry, I just changed the screen. We've also been looking at what's happening over the last 7, 14, and 21 days as far as number of listings on the market. So I'm going to go down days in MLS. I'm going to say 7+ days in MLS, and we're at 3444. 14+ days in MLS, 2498. And then 21+ days in the MLS brings us to 1925. So, I mean, we're creeping up there, right? Over the last week, we've got, what, 150-ish more homes that have been on the market, 21+ days. But a pretty big jump, about 400 more homes that have been on the market 7+ days. So we're starting to see the increase on the front end of this, right? And that's where those price reductions are looming too. That's where those are coming in. Okay, pull this up. What else do we see? So we didn't take numbers last Thursday because it was red day, but the Thursday before that, let's look at that day. So in 2 weeks, we are up 1,000 listings on the market. Only 300, an increase of 300 active listings or new listings in that same 2-week period, right? Not a big jump and back on the markets. Coming soon's kind of returned back to where they were. Price increases have declined substantially, right? We've got half the number of price increases now than we had 2 weeks ago, and 250 more price decreases than we had this time 2 weeks ago. Interesting. About 50 more homes gone pending. Starting to see a decline in the closed homes. And I wonder if that's just beginning, middle, end of the month. I don't know if anybody else kind of sees that. I bet we'll see these closings start to spike again towards the end of the month. So I don't, the pendings haven't declined too terribly much in between now and then. So I don't see that, that we're going to see a big drop off in the closed homes as we go. And then expireds, still pretty similar to where they were then. Now versus 2 weeks ago. The big story though is that we're sitting on 1,000 extra homes on the market right now. Extra, like they're really extra. It's still tough out there. There's still really low inventory. But this is the, one of the best inventory situations that we've been in all year. Right. And maybe for the past, what, 18 months. This is a really good inventory situation, and people are going to be able to have a very good chance of finding what they're looking for.
You take that and you take the number of 14 plus and 21 plus days on the market, then you can communicate that to your buyers that maybe they don't have to go 50,000 over asking price. They don't have to waive inspection contingencies and all that. So
yeah,
use this data. I don't have a buyer, but for those that do,
but if you did, they might be able to avoid that bidding war right now, right?
Yeah, this is where the data can come into play. Use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. Yep. Love, love, love that. You know what else I see? This is interesting. This is the closest we've been to new listings coming on the market, matching pendings. Right? Pendings have been outpacing new listings. So very interesting. I'm excited to see what this will hold on Monday when we get to see the whole weekend's worth of data on here, what's going to move this weekend. What do you guys think? Is this going to be a hot weekend? Are people going to be out buying houses and putting homes under contract, or do you think it's going to be quiet?
I think quiet. I mean, I'm not a realtor, but I think quiet just because we're supposed to get a ton of snow and it's going to be freezing.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I don't think that a lot of people are going to be out and about.
I think it's going to be busy.
Tell me more about that, Dahlia. Why do you think it's going to be busy?
Because since there's going to be more, since there's more options, people are still trying to go and get whatever's out there. So there's more listings or anything like that. Even if there's snow, that's not going to stop people because they know how the interest rates are going up and everything. So they want to try and get whatever's out there. So that's what I think.
Can you hear me?
A little bit. Yep. You sound very far
I was
away.
going to say, I have new earbuds, so I'm experimenting. I think it's also an opportunity where the agent can come to and say, hey, listen, some people will stay home because of the snow. We're not going to. Are you ready to buy? Or are you still looking? It's a great weekend to buy.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great weekend to go out if you want to buy a house.
Precisely.
I agree. Hey, we talked about open houses this week. Who is planning an open house this weekend? Don't let the snow scare you. I tell you what, I've had some of my best open houses during snowstorms. The people who come in are serious, right? It's all about the preparation for it though. A sign in the yard or a sign on the street corner with a balloon is not going to do it in a snowstorm. You gotta advertise that open house everywhere. Somebody's got to really want it to come in and see it, but if they want it, it's a pretty good opportunity. Cool. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Who legended today or yesterday and didn't get to say it yesterday? the lead gen. See some hands going up. All right, guys. What did we do for lead generation? I'll tell you what I got to do for lead generation. I get to set appointments from those text messages I sent yesterday. I went ahead and just finished my 250 text messages after we got done with yesterday's class. And by the time I reported out, I had one appointment, but now I've got, I want to say 2 more sitting in my text. So if you're not utilizing text message as a part of your communication strategy, you're missing out. People don't want you to call them anymore.
We're using Twilio for that?
No, I'm not using Twilio for that. I use an app in my phone so that they come actually from my phone.
Gotcha.
Yep, good stuff. The recording for yesterday, I think, is up or will be up soon if you want to go. The whole class was fire. It was really, really good. We had good conversations, but that last 20 minutes was really good. We looked at some productivity hacks, I guess you would call them that.
Yeah, I was unable to make it yesterday. My daughter had graduation.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
I'm getting old.
You and all of us. All right, here we go, guys. Lead gen coming up tomorrow's lead gen. Guided lead gen with the office would be door knocking in a farm or for your open house or for or just so that you can prove that you're brave enough to be out in the elements, whatever. I don't know when it's supposed to, get cold and nasty, but that's that. And then, here we go. And then next week, Monday is self-guided lead gen. Tuesday morning, in the market center, we're going to be doing some command ads together. We're also going to be revisiting some of those productivity hacks. If you weren't able to figure it out after class yesterday, we'll be doing it live. You can bring your computer in and we'll kind of troubleshoot it and workshop it. We're going to be doing some video next week in the market center, so that'll be fun. We will also be following up with our internet leads next week, and then we've got a follow-up Friday to wrap it all up. So that's what y'all can be looking forward to on a lead gen during the lead gen sessions. 4 goals of the lead generation: get an appointment, get a referral, build that relationship, or increase your database, right? The 2 big things to grow our real estate business, right? Meet people, have real estate conversations. If you're doing enough of that often enough, then you're gonna get to that 36 a year. Tracking your numbers. I love this. You know what I found in our Snap habit yesterday? Ursulina, I saw your numbers tracker from last week. Way to go, tracking your numbers. Also,
did it freeze for anyone else, or is it just me?
your lead gen every day. What's that?
No, she's back. You're back. You went away.
There you
for a
are.
bit.
Okay, you were frozen, and I didn't know if it was just me.
Nope, and it's all me. My computer's telling me that my internet connection is unstable. Yay! All right. So if this continues happening, what we'll probably do is I may stop sharing for a little bit. That might help it out. So if everybody can just to like move around and keep your cameras on, that helps me know whether or not I'm actually live or if I've stopped. Here we go. Develop your skills. Make sure you're doing something every day to develop your skills, whether it's script practice, role play, or you're reading a book or taking a class. Get better at your thing. Yesterday during the team meeting, Lisa said something just kind of randomly off the cuff that I wrote down. You know, we were talking about balance and how balance isn't an issue for her anymore. And she had mentioned, she was like, you know, I've been working on it for 10 years. That's why it's not an issue for me anymore, right? It won't take you 10 years, but for me, this is my mastery item. And then she moved on. And I wrote that down. She said, this is my mastery item. This is the thing that she dug her heels in the sand and said, I'm going to get this right. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to become the best at this. And so she's identified that she's got great work-life balance, right? She does a really good job of being able to manage all of the different demands and overwhelm and stress and all of those pieces, because that's been her thing, right? That was her mastery item. What's your mastery item? Right? Is it around lead generation? Is it around developing your skills? If it's one of these core habits that we've been talking about, now is the time for you to dig your heels in on that piece and decide that that's your mastery item. Decide that that's the thing that you're going to work at to become the best at, right? So just something that I took note of, wanted to share with you guys. Remember that those 3 hours of lead generation include your preparation and your maintenance time, yet the bulk of your time spent should be on taking action. Your homework tonight, as it is every night, is to prepare for tomorrow's lead generation. Do that tonight so that when you start lead generation tomorrow, you can go right into the lead generation activities and not get stuck in the preparation. So if you don't make it to the take action piece, then you're not meeting people and having real estate conversations, and you're not going to get to do the real estate, right? If you're not meeting people and having real estate conversations. All right. Questions, comments, ahas, burning desires to share your path to mastery about those 4 daily habits? All right. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about farming and door knocking today. We're talking about them together because door knocking is a strategy that's very commonly used inside of a geographic farm, which is one of the types of farms that we're going to talk about today. So they make sense. Yet they are not the same thing. And yet oftentimes people kind of confuse them, or think that they are the same, or think that just simply by door knocking in a neighborhood that they have a geographic farm, or that you can have a geographic farm without door knocking, right? So we're gonna look at some of these pieces. I have some real life goodies to be able to share, some demos, some examples. Kind of a case study, if you will, and we're gonna explore this together and see if there are ways that we can improve what's happening here. But just like with all of the other lead generation strategies that we've tackled so far in this course, farming is something that is an inclusive strategy. There are different types of farms, and we're going to get into that. But door knocking alone does not create your geographic farm, and door knocking alone will probably not get you the results that you're looking for, even though it does happen, right? Just like you can, circle prospect your way into a listing right there on the phone because they picked up and they were thinking about it and you happen to call, right? That can happen, but more than most likely, that's not going to be what happens when you pick up the phone. Just like when you knock on the door, it can happen that they were thinking about selling and here you are, right? That can happen, but more than most likely what's going to happen is you're going to build their trust, nurture that relationship, and earn your way in over time by being consistent and persistent in your communication. Kind of a theme here. So let's dive in. Every time I stop and start sharing again, I have to reset my screen, but it's easier the second time. So forgive me just a second there. Okay. So we're going to talk about going to talk about your farm. And I want to share this story with you. Because quite honestly, I think this is a bit of a long shot story, yet it is a true story, and it can, will, and does happen. And this is all about door knocking. It's in your material if you want to read along on page 6. But the power of prospecting to a targeted market, and that's what farming is all about, prospecting to a targeted market. Joshua Stern is an agent in Salt Lake City, Utah. Joshua, who closed 25 transactions his first year in real estate and now closes more than 80 a year, had an out-of-state customer looking for a home to buy in a very desirable neighborhood. This customer wanted to move to Salt Lake City to be close to her daughter, who would be starting school at the local university. Joshua and another colleague from his office decided to go to that neighborhood and knock on a few doors. When homeowners opened their doors, he explained that he had a family that was hoping to move into the neighborhood. He believed the family would be an asset to their community, and did they know somebody who was thinking of moving? Joshua also left a note with the same information at the homes where no one answered. That night, he received a call from a homeowner who was thinking of selling his home. He ended up with both sides of that transaction for a total of $18,000 in commission. Not bad for 45 minutes of work. That's the power of prospecting to a targeted market. This should have a big disclaimer on the bottom, just like in those weight loss commercials, right? Your results may vary, right? Atypical results, yours will vary. Can this happen? Yes, 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 this can happen, right? People are thinking about selling and buying real estate every single day. If you meet enough of those people, you're going to get into the path of them, and you have a very high likelihood of meeting them. But you have a higher likelihood of meeting people who are thinking about it and have not yet made the decision, right? So it's not just the isolated activity. This can happen. And it's a great reason to go out, prospect, and meet people, but you have to do something else with all of the people you meet so that you can build on the likelihood of expanding on those relationships and growing that business. So what is farming? Farming is essentially taking a large market down to a smaller market and communicating with it systematically until you have the dominant mind share in that market. So here's the thing, a market doesn't just have to be a geographic market, right? It could have something to do with where they live. Maybe this is geography, and you're taking a large area and you're going to narrow it down to a very small area. But it might just be your farm may be similar minded people, right? You can farm interest groups and demographic groups and things of that nature. So think about your farm really being a small, like a niche market, right? I'll bet I have a great slide for that. There we go. So the 3 different types of farms that you can look at. And the first is, I think, what most people think of when they think of farming, right? This is the geographic farm. We're going to talk a lot about geographic farms today. I think that's going to be the default here. But you can also demographic farm, right? By target specific demographic bands inside of a market, and psychographic farming. These are people who have similar interests, who do the same sorts of things. And you may do some of these already in your business. Who can tell me some ideas or some examples of what you think a demographic or a psychographic farm might be?
I mean, demographic, I see the income net worth, so you could target, maybe individuals that live in multi-million-dollar homes across a different metro area. And then my thought would be maybe this is a little bit of work, but filter that with business owners, because many times business owners, if they're successful, they'll, if they're making money, then they have those high-end homes.
Right.
And then cross-reference that for potential real estate investors, or they may be looking to move up or move down, depending on what stage they're in.
So high net worth individuals, high net worth, probably entrepreneurs who may have an interest in real estate investment, right? Yeah, that's definitely could be a demographic farm potential.
It could also be like people like, is it like the new builds that are like with the like 55 plus, or also like in the psychographic, wouldn't it also be like maybe closer to like a downtown, just because I want a different type of lifestyle? Could that also be something like demographic versus psychographic as well?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely look at people by lifestyle, right? Lifestyle bands, right? Folks who are into the same types of cultural or lifestyle pieces may be looking at similar types of real estate. Yeah, I love that. Definitely in 55 plus or, active adult communities. Definitely could be a demographic farm.
I'm actually thinking about people who already do things that I like to do. If I like to go to the gym or yoga or whatever, then I'm farming that area. Those are people that I have met before, but not necessarily have a really real relationship. They certainly don't necessarily go in my database until I've gotten that permission. So, it's my dog group, it's my hiking group, it's all those different things that I'm doing anyway, the PTO, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, these are, and I think that's the way that I tend to think of that the psychographic farming. These are my network groups. Right? These are the places where I'm a member of a larger group of people who are there for the same reason, right? Because we all, we're all there for PTO, or we're all there for, for our health and our fitness. We all like X, Y, and Z. So we're all there for the same reason. What else?
Oh, a good one would be like the gym, like Vasa. Vasa is like, it's like the new club basically, because it's always packed. So, I mean, for sure, you're going to find someone who wants to buy right there. And guess what? They're trying to be healthy. They're trying to do a better lifestyle. So, I mean, I'm still trying to get comfortable with that because it's so packed. It's just like, who do you even speak to? And then at the same time, you're trying to work out, but I mean, that's something that like Gwen was saying, for sure you can go there because that's an interest, a hobby, a better lifestyle. And there's a whole bunch of people you can target. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
It's just kind of getting out of the comfort zone, trying to talk to people and just, not just be kind of weird about it since everybody's all over.
Well, and I think that's a piece when we have these network groups or these demographic farms, that's the trick, if you will, is we've got to figure out how do we actually communicate with this group as a whole, right? And so that's what farming is essentially. It is communicating with these smaller targeted markets. And so you're going to pick that targeted market a variety of ways. If it's geographic farm, we're going to take a look at that today. Or maybe it's demographic, or maybe it's this network group that you have, right? But then the trick is, how do you communicate inside of that group consistently, persistently over time in such a way that you start to develop the mind share of that group? Farming is one of the areas where marketing is going to play a more substantial role than in some of the other lead generation activities, because you can supplement to a great deal your prospecting activities with marketing. And in a lot of these groups, marketing is how you break in, right? Because because you may not have an opportunity to break in a proactive way, right? It may not be it may not be something that you can do to just like walk around the gym all day in your KW shirt, stopping people in between sets and saying, excuse me, I noticed you're working out really hard. Is that because you're getting ready for an upcoming move? Right? If so, I'd love to talk to you about my real estate services. I provide a free moving truck. Would that be of use for you? Right? Like whatever that is. That might not work. So marketing is going to be how you get your foot in the door. Look at that. We actually did one of the activities here. All right. Myths about farming. We've all heard about geographic farms taking a long time to yield results, and they cost too much money, right? You really have to break into those. The truth is farming can become a core of your business, and it doesn't have to cost much money. Just like with the other lead generation activities, there's a balance between prospecting and marketing, and the prospecting that you do can have a lot more sweat equity that comes into it, right? It's more about consistency and persistency over time, right? You have to show up regularly for a long enough period of time. There's always those instances that can occur, right? Where you're in the right place at the right time for the right person. So it doesn't necessarily have to take too much time. This is something that I've seen show up a few different ways. Think about it in a geographic farm. Somebody else already dominates this area, right? Maybe you live in this geographic farm and you know, right? You know that Sally Sue is knocking on your door every other week and has all the postcards going out. Or maybe you're just driving around the area and you've seen all of the signs. Or perhaps you've actually pulled the data and you can see that there's a realtor that has predominant market share in that area, right? If you think about this in like let's talk about the gym as being another example, right? You know, there's all the advertisements that are on the TV while you're on the treadmill or whatever, right? There's always one or two realtors that are running through those advertisements, right? So you may think, oh, they've dominated that market share. There's not any space for me. The truth is, not every person connects with every person the same way. And not every person is going to connect as consistently or persistently as you are. So there's always an opportunity. This business is very, very fluid. What was true yesterday may not be true tomorrow. And so in a market that somebody dominated yesterday, they may not dominate tomorrow. There is always an opportunity for you to break into that market. There's definitely enough business for everybody, right? Here we go. A farm limits you to that area or specialty. I had a conversation with an agent recently who started her business with a geographic farm, her neighborhood, right? And she was the mayor of her neighborhood and she ran all of the events and she did a ton of business in her neighborhood. And then she moved. And she felt like a fraud doing business in her old neighborhood, but her new neighborhood was where all of the doctors and the lawyers lived. And so she didn't feel like she could market to that neighborhood, right? She felt like she kind of shot herself in the foot by moving out of her farm, and that she was limited to only doing business there, and that she wasn't going to have the same success in her new neighborhood, right? Now, I'm sure that you guys can all see the limiting beliefs that are probably wrapped around that, right? What caused her to be successful in one neighborhood is probably going to work to cause her to be successful in another neighborhood. And here's the reality, right? If the neighborhood you live in now is where all of the doctors and the lawyers live, and you don't feel like you can market to them, newsflash, you live in the neighborhood with all of the doctors and the lawyers, which means you are the doctor or lawyer of your profession, right? You have made it to the next level. You have earned the right to do business with that caliber of person, because so are you. At any rate, farming doesn't have to be the only thing you do. And you don't only have to have that farm. You could have a geographic farm and a demographic farm, right? If it makes sense in your overall lead generation plan. You could be door knocking in a neighborhood that's not your farm and still have a geographic farm. They all work together. You're not pigeonholed into one lead generation technique over the other. However, I would highly advise, especially inside of this course, that you're picking one overall strategy and have no more than 3 different activities that feed that strategy, right? Farming is all about mailers and mass marketing. Now, when I read this myth, it didn't resonate with me. So it wasn't necessarily something that I believed about farming, but you guys might. You guys might believe this about farming, that it's all about mailers and mass marketing. The truth is that farming, really growing any of your farms, is only partially about marketing. I think marketing plays a pretty big role when you're breaking into the mind share of a group of people. Marketing is very important. Yet events are going to help you break in as well. If you can create community events or get involvement in community events, those will help you break into that arena as well, to that farm as well. But also, there's a lot of value in face-to-face, just being present, right? Whether we're looking at a geographic farm or a demographic or a psychographic farm, being present inside of that group of people goes a really long way. You are your brand, right? So the more and more you appear at the neighborhood events, or the more and more you're there at the gym, or the more and more you're a part of that group and community of people, the less marketing and mass mailers you'll have to do. And farming can start and stop as you need it to. But the reality is, farming is a lead generation technique that works best when it's done consistently and persistently over time. Can't stress that enough. Even if you're just doing a lot of set it and forget it type of communication, your presence in the farm is absolutely necessary. Let me share this with you. I have a friend who's been in the business for quite some time, and she has built the same, she has been working in the same demographic farm for about 20 years. Okay, 20 years in the same neighborhood. Over the past couple of years, because of health concerns, she hasn't been in the neighborhood as often. And her market share in the neighborhood has declined because her presence has declined. This is a community that she's built for 20 years. So the important thing to know about farming, whether it's geographic or demographic farming, your presence is really important. Although I've got to tell you, this is going to be the same throughout your entire database. When you're not present with your database, your numbers are going to decline. When you're not present meeting people and having real estate conversations, your numbers are going to decline. And farming especially, though, is one of those activities that's really challenging to start and stop. Unless you can devote the time and attention to growing that farm and breaking into that area, then this might not be the lead generation technique for you, right? If you're not able to commit to that piece, right? Let's talk a little bit about selecting your farm, and we're going to start with the geographic farms. 10 factors to consider. This is in your materials too, so that you can look through it. This makes a pretty decent checklist as you're considering what your farm area is going to be. What are your goals from your farm? If your goals are to, well, this is 36-12-3. So we're talking about doing 36 transactions in 12 months with 3 hours of lead generation. If your goals are to get 36 transactions from your farm, You need to choose a farm area that historically has at least 72 homes selling every year, right? Because you're not going to get 100% of the activity. At best, you're going to get 50% of it. So if you want to sell 36 homes from this farm area, you've got to choose a geographic area that has at least 72 homes selling a year. You guys following that? So does it support your goals? Now on a smaller scale, if you want to sell 5 houses from your farm area, then you choose a neighborhood that's got at least 10 historic sales a year, right? You can get this information through Realist and through the MLS. There are some ways to mine for it. You can take classes on it, or my favorite way to do this is to work with one of those title reps that's always trying to take you out to coffee, and let them take you out to coffee. And they know statistics so well, and they know how to work through these data, have them help you mine your farm. And then when you select your farm and start doing business, send a couple of title orders their way to say thank you for helping you start the business. You don't have to be an expert in all things, definitely not in this thing. So those are your goals. How many transactions do you want to do from it? Does your budget support that, right? Remember, marketing is a big piece of farming in general. If you're trying to break into this group, one of the best ways to start getting that mind share is through marketing efforts. So what is your budget, right? Right now, a piece of mail is what, about $1.25 for first class postcard. $1.25, $1.75 maybe. So what's your budget if you're going to do that on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis? Is 1,000 homes too many? Right? Is 100 homes right for you? Does that support your goals? So all of these pieces are going to start to feed together. Okay. Obviously, your goals and your budget are going to determine the size of area that you're going to have, right? Here's another thing that's going to that should factor into the size. How much time are you looking to spend there, right? If door knocking is a part of your geographic farm marketing plan, and it should be, how many homes can you door knock in a day, and how many days, a week or a month, are you looking to door knock, and how often are you looking to be there? If you select a farm that's 2,500 homes and you're not planning on door knocking 100 houses a day, 25 days a month, then, are you going to hit everything, right? Or 10 days a month for 3 months and hit everybody quarterly, right? Then you've got to be able to factor that in. Am I actually going to be to do what needs to be done in that geographic area? My recommendation would be start small, really, really small. Start with a farm that's 100 to 250 homes. Go back and watch the session that we had with Rob for 0 to 17 listings, because I think he nailed it with the size of the community there. If you go too big, then you really can't manage that much. Start here as that starts yielding results and you start having better systems in place and getting more efficient with what you're doing. You can expand the size of your farm, but start there. What's the location of this? Here's an interesting thing. Your neighborhood or not your neighborhood? There's 2 good answers to this question. People always want to know, should I farm my own neighborhood? And the first thing I would ask is, well, does it meet all of the other criteria, right? We're going to go through all of this criteria. Is your neighborhood a good neighborhood to farm? Right? There may be some reasons why it's not. There may be some reasons why it is. So from a purely statistical standpoint, see if your neighborhood is a good neighborhood to farm. And the second piece to consider is, do you want to live in your farm? I'm going to go back to this example of my friend who's had this same neighborhood farm for 20 years. It's not the neighborhood she lives in. Why? So that she can leave and not be there right? So that she is not always on. She's not always on. She's not always just the realtor down the street, right? And also she has to take a special trip through her farm, right? So she is not going to the grocery store and then beating herself up because she sees that for sale sign that's not hers, right? That doesn't have to be you. Maybe you were perfectly okay with the entire neighborhood knowing that it's you right over there, right? In fact, my friend who delivered this beautiful bag to my house put her address on here. She says, "I'm your neighborhood realtor and I'm at blah, blah, blah." Cool, right? Completely up to you, personal preference. But location, whether you pick your neighborhood or someone else's neighborhood, it's got to be a neighborhood you can get to regularly. This shouldn't be a neighborhood 2 towns away, right? If you live in Highlands Ranch, don't farm Green Valley Ranch unless you're going to be there all the time. Otherwise, you're not going to want to drive up there to do it. Or likewise, right? If you live up north, don't pick a Castle Rock farm, right? Pick something local to you. Haven't Mets versus Mets. How many people in that neighborhood or in that area do you already know? Who's in your database versus who's not? Here's a couple of the actual neighborhood metrics to consider. What is the average sales price of that farm, right? If all other things are considered and you are looking at 2 very, very similar geographic farms, but this one's average sales price is $450 and this one's average sales price is $650, which one would you rather farm? All day long, I'd go $650. Get paid more for the same amount of work? Heck yes, right? Maybe that's you, maybe it's not, I don't know. Turnover rate, this is a big one. How many homes in that neighborhood? You're going to look at it when you look at your goals. How many homes in that geographic neighborhood actually sell each year, right? How often is that neighborhood turning over? What's the tenure there, right? If that number is very, very low, that might not be a good neighborhood to farm unless it's been very, very low for a very, very long time. Because then people could start moving out of the farm, right? There could be a lot of original owners there. There are some neighborhoods that are there, but it's kind of it's hard to tell. So here's the deal. So you can take a look at the number of homes that are selling in that particular market. Let me see if there's slides for this one. There we go. Yes. I was hoping there was. So you can take a look at the turnover rate in that neighborhood, and you want to get something where the homes are turning over at a really reasonable rate, like 25% or more of the homes in that neighborhood are turning over every year, right? Otherwise, you might not be able to hit your goals with the number of homes selling. Tenure and previous home, right? So how long have the people in this neighborhood owned their home? You can pull some of these reports through public records and you can see what the average tenure of people is. The lower the tenure, the less likely they are to be moving. The higher the tenure, the more likely they are to be moving, right? Also be looking at other market conditions, days on market, expired listings. Is this a really unique neighborhood that has some interesting things going along with it? Does it have a high amount of expired listings? Is there something that's maybe difficult to sell with this neighborhood, right? Does it have expansive soils? Have a lot of people had to do foundation work? Does it have a bad reputation for that in the industry, right? You know, is it Friendly Hills? You don't want that, right? Like you want to be looking at some of these places. Competition. This is where you start looking at, okay, if all of the numbers add up, who else is selling in this neighborhood, right? If 20 homes sold in this neighborhood last year, was more than one of them by the same person? And if so, how many of them, right? How much competition is there? That will give you an idea of who could be farming in that neighborhood already, especially if it's in a neighborhood that you don't live in. If it's a neighborhood you do live in, well, then start doing this, right? Start collecting the mailers and the postcards and put them in a little file so that when you get the other realtors marketing material, you know, right? And you know how often they're sending it and what they're sending. And you have a good idea, you know, like these pieces that I've been getting at my new house here are mass mailers, right? These are definitely not targeted marketing. I don't think there's somebody who's successfully farming my little neighborhood, right? Based on these pieces. And is it fit for the farm? Can I relate and fit in with them? Right? Are these your people? If you spend a Saturday afternoon walking the neighborhood and talking to folks, are you going to enjoy that? Right? Is this a dog-friendly neighborhood? And are you a dog person? Right? Are you totally good if you make it 5 houses and pet 7 dogs? Right? Is that a good Saturday afternoon for you? Are they, you know, are you a young person and this is an active adult community, right? Or vice versa, right? Do you relate to what's happening inside of that neighborhood, and can you do it consistently over time? I just want to stop here for a second. In thinking about this all, can you guys think of any examples in your life where somebody has successfully farmed your geographic neighborhood? Like, does this person stick out?
Usually what we get is postcards in the mail, which we look at long enough to put them in the trash. But yeah, we haven't had the effort, but if Cheryl, who's an absolute genius at farming, if we can get her to maybe do another farming mastermind, because she had done one before, you know, for anyone that's new, she knows how to farm.
Yeah.
I mean, she has market share in her farm. She puts a lot of effort into it. She does community events, charity events, drops by the house. And then she also provides some information too, but that's not all she does.
Yep. Yep. All of those pieces, you know, and here's something that I remember, the house we grew up in, right? Or at least we moved a couple of times. I think a lot of people do, but the house that we spent our late teenage years in and grew to become adults in, we didn't, a realtor named Tim Robinson, or Robertson or something, Tim something son, who farmed our neighborhood. We never met him, but he always left the little notepads on our door, and it was him with this big old saxophone. He played the saxophone, I guess, and it was just a picture of him with the saxophone and the little thing. Never met the guy, but after, I mean, you know, 10 years of getting his notepads, when my sister and her first husband were ready to buy a house, they instantly called him, right? Because they didn't know anybody else. They didn't have any other relationships. It had connected. And so that is cemented in my mind when I think of somebody who owns a farm, right? I wish I would have like met him, right? I don't think I ever saw him in the neighborhood, but it is what it is. Whatever he did, it eventually was effective enough. It caused him to earn my sister's business, right? So something to consider, consistent and persistent for a long enough period of time. And you've considered all of those pieces. And I'm getting to, dun, dun, dun.
Hi, Anna.
There we go. Okay.
This is Kathy. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in terms of that, I am farming my neighborhood. This is the second year in a row that I'm going to be doing the annual garage sale in our neighborhood. And, sponsoring it with the signage and stuff. And last year, being that I was very new, I didn't, I wanted to be more just going around, and I actually went around with my husband and my dog, and we delivered Otter Pops and little small water bottles to people that were outside, and tried to strike up conversation, but didn't talk real estate. It was more just, hey, how you doing? And a few people would engage, saying thank you. And some of my neighbors would say thank you for doing this. So this year, I don't know, again, I want to be a little bit more assertive, I guess, this year, but not be, where people are gonna be afraid to want to see me in the neighborhood. So do you have any suggestions on what I can do to maybe jazz it up this year and not be where they're gonna feel, oh, they're trying to get me to, chase after me or something.
Kathy, I'll tell you, consistent and persistent over time.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the big piece. And that's what we're going to build to here. It's just like all of the other strategies is building that strategy up, right? The questions I would ask are, how often are you in your farm area?
Mhm.
How often are you communicating with them? What types of marketing pieces are you sending them? What are you delivering to them? And are you looking at opportunities to get face-to-face at least once a quarter, right? Are you knocking on doors? Are you also holding neighborhood events? Those pieces, and wrap it all up with a bow, tie it up with real estate, right? And we can, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about Cheryl's plan, what she does in her farm. We're gonna kind of lay that out as we build that up here. And that's kind of the next piece that we're getting to is what does it look like to lead generate in your farm?
Right. Okay.
Right. And I would say that's the big piece. Is there a magic conversation you can have with somebody when you do your neighborhood yard sale this year? Probably not. Right. Find ways to bring that back to real estate. Remind them that you're the real estate professional. Have people opt in to receive real estate communication. You're going to look for their contact information. You're going to ask for their contact information, right? And build your database. Those are some key pieces of this. And a lot of that happens boots on the ground. A lot of that happens without having to spend any money. You're really going to be belly to belly, face to face with people, having conversations, closing those conversations by letting them know, hey, you know what? There's a lot of real estate activity in the neighborhood, and I'd love to keep you updated on what's happening. From time to time, I send out some really valuable communication on what's happening in the neighborhood, homes that are selling, and different neighborhood events and all of those pieces. What's the best email address for me to send that to so that you can be getting that valuable information as well? Right. So you're collecting data every time you're having those communications too. And that's where kind of the magic happens, right? Is when you start creating that mind share, you start building your relationship in the neighborhood, it will start building your reputation. And that's when people will start seeking you out, right? But first you've got to be there prospecting in your farm. This is relationship farming, prospecting based and relationship and marketing enhanced, right? So that's like door knocking, hosting the events, doing those pieces. And then they're also receiving a newsletter, or they're also receiving a postcard from you as that goes on. Here's a fun exercise if you want to, as you're exploring your farm, you can take a look at how much time you might spend on your geographic farm. So as you're going through a selection activity, this will help you out. It's on page 40. Yep, Dahlia, go ahead.
Another thing that just like kind of like remembered from one of the classes that we were taking, like also that we could do right now, especially when it's getting warmer. So maybe not this weekend, but like sometime soon. Is like I like I don't remember where I seen it, but like I know that it was in one of the classes that we were doing or the meetings that they mentioned like doing a yard sale. You know, there's the community yard sale coming up. And then so, or like just if you want to just clear out your garage, your basement or whatever, and just do a yard sale, like people will come to you and then like, you know, you can just talk about either the neighborhood or something. And then that's something that we could also do, right? That could get
Yeah.
something for the geographic right there as well, right?
Yeah, doing a neighborhood yard sale is a great community event for your geographic farm. It's a really good way to be able to touch your people. It works best when it's part of a year-round communication strategy. You know, a one-off event like just doing a yard sale could be a good thing. It may earn you business, just like knocking on the door that one time may earn you some business. But over time, as part of a strategy, that's where you're going to see that magic happen.
Well, it would be like those huge communities. I know like where I live over there in Green Valley Ranch, they have like those huge community ones. Like they have the certain dates, like and it's year round. So it's like when everybody's doing it. So that way you could do it too, or you could even go browse around with the neighbors as well and just check that out. I think, right? That would be good. Maybe take out like a little flyer or something. Like, hey, I live down there.
You know what? So definitely a thing you can do. I'll tell you, Cheryl does a community garage sale inside of her neighborhood. One of the keys to the success of that community garage sale is she purchases something from every single person who hosts the garage sale. It gives her a reason to talk to them. It shows it's coming from contribution. She's helping them out. She finds something valuable everywhere, right? You know, so it's a great way for her to walk around and see the neighbors and, you know, maybe even have a conversation with somebody who wasn't otherwise answering their door or whatever. So she goes around and makes a purchase from every home in her community garage sale too. So yep, definitely something to take a look at. Here's some keys as you're putting your marketing plan together for your farm. Are you coming from contribution? You want to have something of value to give, which is one of the big pieces that my friendly neighborhood realtor missed inside of this beautiful marketing piece that she dropped off to my door. There's nothing in there for me. There's no value add inside of this package at all. And you want to have the opportunity to meet people face to face. Also, didn't happen here. This got door dropped to me, left on my front porch with no doorbell, no any of that. Knock on people's doors when you can, meet them face to face, get out into the community, strategically plan your trip into the neighborhood at a time when people are out, like on Saturday afternoons or on a nice mild evening when people are walking their dogs or watering the lawn or doing those pieces, right? Here's a great example of a way to come from contribution. You could create a neighborhood directory. Okay, you could organize a neighborhood yard sale or start the website or the Facebook page, right? Or the Facebook group. A local resource for your community, right? So some great ways to be able to come from contribution. You'll also find that people love to give, right? So other great things for community involvement are like food drives or coat drives or things like that. So long as you make it easy for people, right? Like leave this bag of canned goods on your porch on the day of blah, 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 or the day of blah, 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 or the day after, and we'll come and pick it up, right? Low cost or no cost items for a giveaway would be a really great idea too. Or costly items for a giveaway. I think we talked about that on Monday. Who was on Monday, by the way? Okay, are you guys friends with Dave Umphris? Let me see if I can share this in the group real quick here. Bum, bum, bum. I need to pull it up down here. At any rate, we were talking about reverse bold 100s, and here it is. Let me share this with you guys so you can see it. This is what he's doing right now. A reverse bold 100. You could do something like this in your farm too, right? We want to give you the chance to win this pellet grill smoker thing, right? Yay. It's a simple drawing on Thursday. Hey, that's today. You call this number between 9 and 4. When AJ answers, you give them your contact info. And then you'll also be presented with an opportunity to gain more entries. Any guesses what's going to get you more entries?
Referrals?
I
An
bet.
appointment?
Yeah.
Anna, who is that again running that?
Umphris. Dave Umphris. UMPHRESS. So you can find him on the socials. Fun stuff. Great idea. You could do something like this in your farm, right? It doesn't have to be, just over social media. It could be something that you're doing live with real people in real life, right? So working your farm. Let's take a look at this. Let me share my screen again. Here we go. Walk your neighborhood, right? Repetition is key. Join a club, like be present in something inside of your neighborhood, be there. Be prepared when you're working in your neighborhood and when you're door knocking. Learn your scripts, ask for referrals. In your materials, page 47 is some great door knocking scripts. Whether you have somebody moving into that neighborhood or you're just looking to meet the neighbors. Let's see. I love this. Have calls to action in your marketing pieces. Put a MOFR in there. This is awesome though, right? So find out what homes are selling for in your neighborhood, and you can create a small, you can put this on the Facebook group with a search string that is custom to that neighborhood already set up. You could link them to a like a neighborhood nurture link. You can get people in. You can get people involved in. Let me get this out of the way here. You can get people involved in the real estate side of your farm really, really easily. Here's the key. You need to map your farm out on when you'll be there and what you'll be doing. So here, let me share the screen again. This is in your materials. It's just 12 boxes. What are the 12 touches that you'll do, right? I would probably do this a little differently. If I were mapping out my farm, I might, let's have some fun with the whiteboard, because there's nothing like writing like a kindergartner. Okay. So here's what I would probably do. Stop me if you've seen one of these before, right? That's not it. Never mind. There we go. And so this is January and this is February. And I would plan, what is my touch each month in the farm? Right? So I'm going to go through the entire year. I'll share with you Cheryl's farm system. Every other month, she's either doing something that gets her in person or not. Every other month. So January might be a newsletter. You could mail that to your farm. It could be a postcard instead of a newsletter. For Cheryl, I know it's a newsletter. She wants to have it's real estate related activity, right? It's all about what's happening in that niche. That's how it gets cemented. February, this is a item of value door drop. She does little notepads in February for like Valentine's Day. They have something cutesy on them, right? But they're her branded notepads with her, you know, with her Tim Robinson saxophone picture on it, right? I'm going to put some key ones in here that I know off the top of my head. In June, she does a garage sale. In July, she's doing flags for the 4th of July. And then I think in May, she's got another newsletter going out. Which preps for the yard sale. October is a food drive. You see how this is stacking up, right? So there's, let me see if I can fix this one. So she's in the farm regularly, talking to her people, getting them ready for things. I can't remember all of it. Dun, dun, dun. Sometimes these newsletters are mailed out. Sometimes she actually, if she needs to get face to face, she'll actually door knock them and have a conversation with you about it. Some of these things like flags are a drop. So that might be something to consider as well. You're not door knocking, but you're door dropping. Like she actually just sticks a flag in everybody's yard, right? So that's the door drop there. And December, she has a calendar. Calendar. Dun, dun, dun. I can't remember what else is in here. I think there's at least one more event or pop by or something like that she does in here. So it's a constant stream. And then every time she's in the neighborhood. She's updating her CRM. She has a database of everybody inside of her farm. She's looking every single time to increase the amount of contact information she has. Obviously, she has an address, right? Because a geographic farm, you're going to get an address. Sometimes it's the owner, sometimes it's a renter, right? So if she can meet the renter and get their contact information, she's always looking for that. If I already have your phone number, then today I'm going to ask for your email because I'm going to send you an item of value over email. So I'm going to need your email address, right? And I'm going to refer back to a book, like exactly what to say. And I'm going to use some simple swaps. And instead of asking for your email address, I'm going to suggest that I'm going to send you something really valuable. And then I'm going to say, what's the best email address for me to send that to? Right. So I'm going to be pretty creative about that piece. But it all layers on top of each other. And so you're going to want to build out a strategy like that or different, your own piece. If you're doing a lot of business inside of the farm, that's another piece that she layers on there. Whenever she has a listing inside of the farm, she holds that as an open house. Those are the only open houses that she does is inside of her farm because that's where she wants her presence. She'll hold other people's listings open in her farm because she wants her signs in the neighborhood. And there's no better way to cause people to see your sign over somebody else's than to hold their listing open and then put your open house signs all over the place, right? Leave them out all weekend so that people are seeing your open house signs. But then marketing goes out as well for any listing that she has in the farm to the farm itself. So they are getting a very regular, at least monthly touch from her. And most of those touches are items of value. They're coming from contribution. So I want to share this with you guys because it's lovely. I had a great, I took this agent to breakfast so that I could pick her brain. She's a brand new agent and it took her several months to put together these goodie bags because she wanted to make sure they were perfect. And she's dropped about 30 of them on the steps of our neighborhood. There's about 200 homes in our neighborhood. And she has yet to talk to anybody in the neighborhood. So except for me, because obviously, you know, if you're a realtor and you come leave something on my doorstep, I'm gonna call you. That's my job, right? It's very beautiful. So I've got this lovely thank you note or this lovely note that had her business card in it. You can say protect her identity, protect the identity of the innocent. A really beautiful brochure that she made about her service offerings. Very nice. A big packet of statistics, national, and a page of what's happened in the neighborhood. And a little item of value. I did get 3 seeds for some plants. Okay. I wanted to share this with you guys and see what are your thoughts? Would you do something like this? What did she do well and what would you do differently?
Looks like the presentation was done well.
Oh, and I missed a piece. So there's a little tag attached to it, has like her branding. And for lead capture, to capture my information, there is a little QR code here. To get her mobile app. So there we go.
I think the presentation along with Scott was really good, and putting them in those paper bags, you're actually going to open it versus paper that just gets thrown. So that was a really good idea. She took taking 2 months to do it would be something that you would change. That's something that I used to do, remember? Way back when. And you know, the fact that she didn't knock on your door and just left it, so she missed that opportunity to get your information. And some of the national information, most people don't care unless it's someone specific, right? People are going to read because they get that all over the news. They get that everywhere. People, to make her stand out, she probably should have done more than one page about the neighborhood, made that whole packet about the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was a lot of information. Like the whole thing, that's probably my biggest takeaway, is there's a ton of words. Even this thing is like a ton of words. And then you open it up and it's a letter with a ton of words. And I haven't read it. I haven't read much of any of it.
Yeah, if I'm being totally honest, I mean, I'm not a realtor, so I'm starting to learn, you know, how much is put into it. So I appreciate things more. So I do start to open things that are dropped off. But before that, I would have opened that, seen what's in it, and probably thrown the entire thing away, because that is so much stuff. Like, I'm not going to look through all those packets. I'm not going to look through you know, I might open it to see who it's from. And if I don't know the person, I'm going to be like, garbage. Now, however, like I said, I mean, I take time
Now it's
because
different. Yeah.
I get the fact that someone has put so much effort into it and time. So I'm more just like me after cold calling. Like, I'm now cold calling a lot for Gwen, or I was. And so now, before, if someone would cold call me, I'd instantly hang up on them. But now I'm like, you know, like polite about it, or, you know, like listen to what they have to say, and, you know, be more respectful and stuff, because I'm on the other end of it, because I've been hung up on, I've been cussed at, you know, and it's like so rude. So now I you know, I'm getting it, but that is a lot in one little thing. If you want my attention, you need to ring my doorbell and talk to me and see me face to face, and get to know me a little bit, I guess, or just talk to me. Like, don't leave something at my door, because it's most likely going to get thrown away. That's my 2 cents.
For
So-
me, I think the words were too much for me. I don't even go to Hallmark and pull up I'm sorry, what was that store that I used to frequent? Anyway, I don't even look at greeting cards. If I open them up, don't read them. Too many words, put it back. I don't even care what it said. Too many words, put it back. TikTok drives me nuts, because now it can be 3 minutes long. If you don't have my attention in the first 6 seconds, I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
I
I agree too. If it's like too many words or anything like that, it's straight to the trash. I think it's something more basic, more simple. It's like, it's good that she did all that work, but I feel like for people just in general, if it's like 3-5 seconds, like that glimpse and just seeing too much stuff, it's going to be too overwhelming.
Oh, I got one more thing, and then I have to hop in my car and I'll switch it back over to my phone. But the other thing I was going to say is, she gave you so much information, I assume, that there was really no reason for you to call her. Didn't she just tell you everything she's got? She needed like bait, and then wait.
She a loafer.
Yeah, she needed
Yeah.
to throw out a few things so that you have a reason to call her. I'm pretty sure, I have no idea what's on those papers, but there's that's all she knows, and she just spilled it all. I don't know, maybe, but that's what I'm thinking, is that you need to have a reason somebody wants to give you a call to find out more. Mofer. Yep.
Yep.
In this case, less is more.
Less is more. Can I tell you? The item of value in this bag, this little package of the seeds, right? Which seems incidental, I'll say, like, oh, is that a gift? Or did she just accidentally put it in there, right? I didn't even find it the first time through it. Because it was like in the tissue paper. I wouldn't have seen it. And so there we go. And so that's another one of the big takeaways for me is what's in it for them, right? Where are you coming from contribution? Where are you giving? What's in it for them? This whole bag, all 25 sheets of paper in here are about her and how awesome she is, but none of it is coming from contribution, solving one of my problems, or giving me something of value, right? Except for this, which I don't know if she put that in there on purpose or on accident, right? The flower seeds.
Well, she's obviously willing to work really hard, and just needs a little bit more information. So yeah, she'd be a great recruit for our office.
That's what I was thinking. Recruit her, Anna.
I am. I invited her to this class today, which obviously we would not be using this as an example without her permission if she were here. And even then, I think that would probably have been a little awkward. But yeah, it's like a big deal. And here's the other piece. This is an isolated event. When we went to breakfast, I was asking her about her strategy. I was like, I want to help you take over our neighborhood. What's your strategy? How can I help you win? And she said, I don't have a strategy. Eventually, I'm going to get all of these bags out. I've got 175 more to go. So she's a few things, right? She's starting too big. She's not prepared to take on the whole neighborhood, right? Based on the time and the energy that she's putting into this, she doesn't have a full strategy. So these are the few pieces that I would encourage you guys to have. Here's another one. I wasn't home when she dropped this off. I came home and it was sitting on my desk because all of the things random people leave on my door, my husband just gives to me, right? Because I'm interested in all the random things. So it was sitting on my desk. So I actually went back and I watched the footage from my video doorbell to see if she rang the bell or not. And then I had a really cool conversation with Jake, with our OP, right around this same time. And I'll share it with you guys. This is going to be your bonus material for today. So Jake is a bold coach, which means he is teaching real estate agents around the country, right? He's in 3 different towns a week, 5 times a year, right? So with 100 different agents in the room. So he's in front of, do the math, that's a lot, right? 300 agents, 5 times a year, 1,500 different agents every single year, right? So he gets a lot of unique ideas. And so he called me the other day with this one. Everybody's got those darn video doorbells. So you know what agents have been doing is when people are, after they ring that doorbell, they're leaving a message on the video doorbell. They're talking to it. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that fun? Ding dong. Nobody.
So what do they say? Like,
hey, it's Anna Kimmel from the Keller Williams office. I stopped by your house because we're having a neighborhood event coming up and I wanted to invite you to be my guest. I left the flyer right here on your door. I wanted to make sure that you got it and a personal invitation. And you know, it's coming from me. And I didn't just, you know, we're not just spamming the neighborhood, but yeah, we've got the food truck coming and I wanted to make sure you were there. If you have any questions, my number is on the flyer, or here's my business card. Give me a call. I'm going to leave this up here for a second, right? That's not my business card. This is the landscaper, but it was handy. So
I did something similar like that last year when I was door knocking. So that's why I was so curious right now. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what did they say? Because like, I didn't want to seem dumb, but I did, like, when I was door knocking, I didn't put my card on it, but I was like, hey, so I missed you, or you must be busy. But I'm gonna leave this right here in your door so that way you don't miss it. So if it falls on the ground or something, you know, you can still see it. But yeah, I would like to talk to you, do a little analysis, or if you know anyone, just give me a call. Something similar like that too, but that's why I was just super curious right now.
Yep. I love it. I thought brilliant idea. I love that you thought I wouldn't have thought of that. Not in a million years, right? Would I have thought of leaving somebody's doorbell a message, right? So loved that idea. Door knocking as a strategy. So let's talk about that really quick. Because door knocking is a standalone strategy. Obviously, that supports your farm area really well. We also learned yesterday when we were talking about for sale by owners and expireds that you can door knock for sale by owners and expireds, right? You can stop by with an item of value there. You can door knock or door drop items of value there. It's a great way to support those prospecting efforts. Circle prospecting and door knocking together before maybe an open house would be a great idea as well, right? To get your message across. You know, there's what, 11 of us on the Zoom. I would bet you of the 11 of us, we all have a different preference or combination of communication preferences, right? Whereas I may rank, you know, like email, text, phone, Facebook, or social media messaging, you may rank them differently, right? So we all have a different way that we prefer to be communicated with. So if we're hitting both channels, if we are calling, texting, you don't text like that, but if you did, that would be texting. Calling, texting, and pop buying, right? Door knocking, then you're going to have a really good likelihood of connecting with everybody because you're hitting all of the different channels. So some key tips to door knocking. When you ring the doorbell, step back away from the door. If it's a video doorbell, step back, but so that you can be seen by the video doorbell. You don't want to get out of the camera view, but always step back from the door so you're not right up against it. It will increase the feeling of security when somebody does answer the door. If you are right up against it, then they're going to answer the door in kind of maybe a tentative or a combative way. They may only open the door a little bit instead of opening it wide to be able to see you. So you want them to feel safe when they open the door. So take a step back. Dress comfortably for the elements, yet professionally. Okay. Don't wear your, don't wear your killer high heel shoes outdoor knocking, right? Wear a nice pair of tennis shoes or a pair of, professional flats or something like that, right? You're going to want to, you want to look appropriate for the neighborhood, right? And for your presence in that neighborhood. But here's what I've found. Particularly if this is your neighborhood, right? You want to dress professionally in your neighborhood because you need to create a connection that you are a professional. If these are people who know you in any other arena in a more casual way, you need to now make that connection. It is the same reason that if I'm working with a close friend or family member, right, I'm actually going to want to look more professionally than I would for the average client, because I need you to not be, I need you to not think of me as Anna the room mom or Anna your sister. I need you to think of me as Anna the realtor, right? So I need to create that visual differentiation when I'm knocking on your door. And look professional. Carry a clipboard or something to write on. I know that seems super old fashioned, you're going to want to collect contact information. There are probably some much better new school ways to do this, like with your phone or a QR code or something like that. Yet pen and paper still work. Have your items of value handy, and plan your route through the neighborhood while you're door knocking. Cheryl, who door knocks in her farm on a regular basis, hits about 20 or 25 homes at a time, and she's kind of regularly planned routes, right? And so she breaks it up into that, which means she's not carrying all 100 or 250, pieces, items of value around with her, right? She's got a small quantity of those items of value. She's able to move a lot more quickly in those pieces. For those of you who've been out in the world door knocking, feel free to share any of your best practices too. No soliciting or no knock signs. I know, Gwen, that you have entire neighborhoods, right, that are no knock. Pay attention to these. Even if what you're doing isn't technically considered soliciting, right? Are there other ways that you can get that neighbor's attention so that you are developing a good relationship?
Hey, Anna, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can I
Yeah.
speak to that for just a quick second? I don't consider when I door knock that I'm soliciting, and that's what the no knock says that I can't do. And we have that a lot in Castle Rock. And like all of Castle Rock is almost no knock. So to get around that, if you're bringing value like a food drive or a coat drive or whatever it is that's relevant, it's different, and you still need to understand that if somebody misconstrues this in any sort of way, you will get advertising. It may not be what you're looking for because you'll be on the Nextdoor app with your photo and all of that, possibly the Ring video. So you want to be super mindful that what you're doing is bringing value, not advertising yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And that would be if I had a farm area that I was looking to break into that had a lot of no solicitor or no knock things, those would be, everything would be mailed. And I would be creating community events or promoting community events, and that would be my excuse to get to your door, right? We'd be having a neighborhood yard sale or coat drive or food drive, or this would be the most altruistic community ever, right? There would have to be an item of value every time. And then you get the opt-ins. And that's a different story when somebody's opted into receiving your communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whether you are door knocking for a farm or you're door knocking for another specific cause, know your script, know your purpose when you go to the door. There are a lot of different ways to have conversations that lead to real estate with people. So be strategic about why you're going to the door. But remember that you're lead generating, and there are 4 different successes for lead generation. You are either getting an appointment with a buyer or a seller, or you're getting a referral, or you're nurturing that relationship, or you are adding them to your database. So it's really important that when you are out door knocking and growing those relationships in your farm, that you have a MOFR to collect their contact information and get them to opt in. You know, one of the easiest ones is going to be a neighborhood update, and you've got to really build the value into this. It's not just I send an email about what's going on in the neighborhood. No, it's going to have market updates, and you're going to be able to see what's sold and how much for, and the pictures. Everybody wants that stuff, right? We're going to email it right to you, and then we've got school updates, and it's got all of the local restaurants and all of those pieces. So, you know, what's the best email address for me to send it to? Remember those simple swaps too when you go for closing those pieces. But gather their data and get their opt-in for your database, and you'll be in good shape. All right, if you are door knocking around your upcoming open house, that's one of the easiest ways to door knock. I love it because you've got a really easy conversation to have. Hey, there's a home for sale down the street, and we're going to hold it open on Saturday, and we're inviting all of the neighbors to visit the open house. We'd love to have you show up, and in the event that you can't make it, what's the best email address? We'll send you updates on what happens with that house so you can see what it sells for. Get their contact information. And then you might see them at the open house. And what you're actually doing is auditioning for the job of selling their house. And then they've met you twice, right? Yep, go for it, Gwen.
I've used the opener around an open house. Is just, hey, heads up, we're having an open house on Saturday. Here's the hours. We just want to let you know because there's going to be added traffic. So if you have little people aren't watching for them, and I just want to make sure that you're aware so that you can keep your little people safe. And they appreciate that. And I do that even if you're a no-knock because it's value.
Yeah, I love that. Coming from contribution. That's awesome. And what a great first impression they have of you too, when they do come to that open house and decide they want to sell theirs. All right, homework, prepare for lead gen tomorrow. If you're doing an open house this weekend, get your invitations ready for that open house and door knock 50 to 100 homes around that open house. Get them there. I love Gwen's script. Use that or share that there's going to be an open house. You want to invite the neighbors. Ask them what the best email address is to send the market updates to, so that you can keep them up to, and posted on what's happening with not just that house, but all of the others that come up in the market. All right, we will see you guys on Monday. We're gonna dive in on Monday, start talking a little bit about social media, organic reach, and paid ads. Until then, have a phenomenal weekend. We will see you soon, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Take care.